नमस्कार
हाय
जी।
नमस्ते पीटर।
क्या हाल है?
अब अच्छा है।
हाँ,
अच्छा
अब बहुत
वेलकम।
ठंडा है।
ठीक है। अच्छा वेलकम टू मुन्नार।
हाँ, हाँ बहुत ठंडी है।
Your paintings have a lot of Indian influence behind them. And what made you interested in India in the first place? And when, how did you get there?
Well, one of the reasons could be that at that time I knew Howard Hodgkin, who is now Sir Howard Hodgkin, and he said to me, "You must go to India." And I always remember that, and because he'd been there a lot and he'd done a big series of watercolours, gouaches that I remember, and he used to talk about it a lot. So possibly one reason. Yeah, when I arrived in Delhi in May in 1986, it was about 110 degrees, and I had no idea how hot it would be. And I ended up in this tiny guest house with an air conditioner that blew hot water at me and made a terrible noise. And I remember that first night not being able to sleep and thinking I'd arrived in hell. Really, I thought I had arrived in hell, and I thought, what am I doing here? That's really what I thought. Why have I come? I had no idea, you see. I mean, that's what I mean. But,
Why had you come?
well,
There must be some reason why.
the next
Got
day,
a ticket and went.
the next day I thought, I've got to get out of here, this is terrible. So I looked in my guidebook. I had no knowledge of where to go, but in the guidebook I saw a town called Dehradun. So yeah, I arrived in Dehradun, this town which was incredibly noisy, incredibly dirty and very busy, and I booked into the Hotel Prince near the bus station and found a little room there, but the diarrhea started. So I spent the next 2 days on the toilet. But what happened next was, on the roof opposite the hotel, there was a little boy sitting, and he said to me, he started talking to me, you know, what's your name, all that business, where are you from? So I got talking to him, and he said to me, do you want to visit the FRI? So we took an auto out of town through massive bamboo forest and came to the FRI, which was an enormous building that looked like a British public school in huge grounds with huge trees. And as we came into the grounds, I got a very odd feeling. It was inexplicable, the feeling I got. And I just felt strange, but I was enjoying it somehow. And we had a look around the buildings. It was called Forest Research Institute, which is why it's called FRI.
Yeah.
And then for the next few days we kept on going back there because I liked it there. But then I decided to move up into the mountains, and I went to Kulu, near Manali.
Yeah.
And in Kulu I stayed in a guest house on the side of a hill and kind of tried to relax there. I was feeling a bit better than that. And then I returned to England. And when I was turning out my mother's old things, she recently died, I found an album that belonged to my father, because he was in the British Army. Now in this album there's some old black and white pictures, and one of the pictures I suddenly got a shock because I saw him in uniform saluting in front of the FRI in 1941. And I had never known that he had been there. And then I looked on the next page, and there he was in a rest house in Kulu with his friend, because he was actually injured in Burma, and the FRI was a British hospital for evacuated Burmese troops. So he'd stayed there after he'd been injured. So, you know, you could say it's complete coincidence, or you could say it was destined that I should go there.
So your God is some abstract God, but at the same time you're saying Hanuman and Ganesh are your favorite gods.
You see, once I was on a train in India, and these two students, Christian students in the seminary, they were asking me, and they said, "Are you Christian?" I said, "No." I said I was more of a Hindu. And they were taunting me. They said, "You only like Hinduism because it's more colourful." And they, you know, and I think they got a point, you know. It's much more exciting.
That is true. Yeah.
Much more exciting. So many more stories. I mean, there's 3 million gods, and so many different stories of battles and everything.
So would it be right to say it's not really religious feeling, it's the artistic aspect of it?
I think it's something about that, but you see, I believe that religion is an entirely individual thing. And each person has a small kernel of spirituality in their mind, and whatever's in there is completely individual to them. So what it is in there can be Muhammad, can be Hinduism, can be Jainism, Buddhism, but I have no idea whether it's connected to a universal truth.
But nevertheless, you are very interested in the Hindu culture, and it seems to me that it may be because of the artistic interest in it rather than
Yeah, I don't know. You see, I like the idea of a god being half an elephant, because elephants are one of my favourite creatures, and often they're in my paintings. And most Indian gods, I mean, there's a god for most animals.
Yeah, that's true actually. I've noticed a lot of elephants in your painting. In fact, maybe we should talk a bit about your paintings that you're going to exhibit next. Now, one interesting thing about the paintings is they are in 3 versions, don't they? You've got oil, you've got gouache, and collage.
Yeah. I found I had a collection of 9 collages that was quite interesting, and for some reason the 9 number seemed to appeal to me, and I thought, well, maybe I'm going to do a series. So I'm going to translate these into gouache on paper, handmade Indian paper first, and then after I've done the gouaches, I will do them onto oils, which is what you can see, what you saw in Thekadi.
Oh yes, you were doing the oils in Thekadi.
Yeah, I was doing the oils. And so basically I did first the collages, then the gouaches, and then the oils, and finished all 27. Yeah. So that's why the exhibition is called Tamil Nadu 27.
Oh right, okay, so that explains it.
And I've looked up the significance of the number of 27, and there doesn't seem to be any. So